Good morning, everyone. And you're very welcome to this morning's Farm Business Options webinar from the Kerry Limerick region. My name is Padraig Fitzgerald, and I'm an advisor based here in County Limerick. This morning, we have three great panelists to help you look at ways to diversify on your farm. We will look at how you can have added value to your farm produce. We have two examples, one from Kerry, one from Limerick, of farmers who did just that, and also look at where and how you can get help to bring you on that journey if you decide to diversify. Our three panelists today are Nick Cotter from West Limerick with Cotter Organic Lamb. We have Kate Carmody from North Kerry with Beal Organic Cheese and hemp production. And we have John Hassett as well from Ballyhoura Development, which is a local development company based in East Limerick. So good morning, folks. Can you hear me?
Hey, John.
Hey,
Hi,
Nick.
Padraig.
Morning, Padraig.
Yeah, good morning.
How are you?
I think we're all great.
Good. So look, before we get started this morning, I just want, for the people that are tuning in, I just want to draw your attention to the chat function that's at the bottom of the screen. And just please use this to ask questions throughout the webinar. And we'll try to get through as many questions as possible during the hour. So if people want to just put the questions into chat, we'll keep an eye on them there and try and get the questions across to each of the panelists throughout the morning. So first of all, what we'll do is I'll ask Nick to give a presentation. So Nick, if you want to try and share your screen there, and just while you're doing that, I'll just give you a little bit of background. So Nick, I suppose he's one half of the Cotter brothers. Nick is in partnership with his brother Jack, and I suppose they've been entrepreneurs since they were a very young age, setting up their first business, Cotter Brothers Firewood, when they were aged 13 and 11. Since then, they have turned their attention to organic sheep farm production, or to their organic sheep farm where they grew up. And the brothers have set up Cotter Organic Lamb. So they're taking the organic lamb produced on their farm in Abbeyfield and delivering it locally to ensure minimum food miles. So Nick, I'll just ask you to go through your presentation there and give us a bit about how you diversified into organic lamb.
Perfect. Thank you, Padraig. So good morning, everyone. Farm diversification can be a really positive thing to do on many farms to generate an additional source of income. In fact, in many cases, it's actually what's needed to maintain farm profitability and viability. Now, diversification isn't going to suit everybody. Depending on your situation, enterprise switching or intensification may be the most profitable thing for you to do. However, today, I'm going to cover our own situation where, due to land holding and land quality, we chose to diversify our farm. And we've had some great experiences over the years, so the journey along these types of ventures can actually be really fun when it works out. And no doubt it's helpful to hear from people who've already done it, because it convinces you that it can be done. And then you can take maybe some of what we do and incorporate it into your own project. So I'm going to tell you about our business, Cotter Organic Lamb, how we direct sell this lamb to homeowners and to hotels and restaurants, and then how we maximize lamb's performance. So why do we get into direct selling our lamb? Well, for context, there's three people involved in the farm, being myself, my older brother Jack, and our father Nick Sr. And farm diversification wasn't new to us. My brother Jack and I started our firewood business when we were kids, and this was because our family had forestry, so we saw it as an ideal opportunity. So we decided to go packing net bags in the evenings after school, and we began knocking door to door in the local housing estates. And this turned out to be a great success over the last 10 years or so, and we're now an industry-leading firewood supplier. And I tell you this story because it's what gave us the appetite to start more new projects. Jack and I really enjoyed running our own business and being entrepreneurs, and it gave us the belief we could achieve more. So 3 reasons for selling direct. And number 1 is to get paid the premium price we believe our lamb deserves to earn. When I looked at it, we were an organic farm, but we were selling it as conventional lamb. And we were doing this because we didn't have an organic processor near us. As a consequence, we were getting the same price for our lamb as a conventional lamb. The second reason is direct selling our lamb was that it was on trend. For us, it was on trend with a growing number of people looking for meat that is gentle on the environment, or so-called guilt-free meat. And they are also looking for provenance. They want to shop local. They want produce of the region for the region. So we believe that at a minimum, there should be a market with Limerick natives and Limerick hotels and restaurants. The third reason was my general belief, and that's that there's always room for one more good one. When I looked at the competition, I saw that if we could differentiate ourselves from what's already out there and try to be the best at it, then we could succeed. So we anchored ourselves to 5 particular characteristics to make what we do unique. So as Padraig mentioned, we're organic. On top of that, we're 100% grass-fed. We're also carbon neutral because of the forestry that we have on the land, offsetting the business's emissions. We're Board B quality assured, and we're award-winning. So I thought, provided we could advertise these and we could get our name out there, there was no reason why it wouldn't succeed. So how do we do it? So our fundamental aim is to produce super premium lamb and get paid a super premium price. So how do we do it? Well, there's 3 levels to the business: the farm, the production, and the marketing. And at the farm level, we've got 22 hectares of green ground in Abbeyfield. And we also have about 70 hectares of hill in Kilgarvan back in Kerry. So we maintain a hill flock of about 230 breeding ewes, and all the ewes are either Scotches or Swales. And our breeding policy is as follows. For breeding replacements, we pick out the best 70 ewes and crisscross breed them. So Scotches onto Swales and Swales onto Scotch Rams. And our first lambers are then bred into Charlies for easy lambing, and the rest go to Texel lambs. So this year they scanned out at 1.7, and we actually lamb outdoors. And what we're targeting is a weaning weight of 1.6. So if you do the maths on that, we're looking at trying to produce about 360 lambs every year. Now we tag the lambs at birth so we can EID link the mothers with the lambs, which is really important so that we can eliminate any poor or underperforming mothers and lambs. We tail dot the lambs as well, and we castrate the ram lambs at birth. Now, castrating at birth is the best time from an animal welfare perspective because you want to castrate them within a quick time frame. And then for the products, what we're trying to do is we're trying to prevent any taint. I can't tell you how many times I've been asked by customers for assurance that I won't sell them a ram lamb, or been told by people who don't like lamb that the reason is the taint. So we think selling rams, and this particularly when they become sexually active, that the taint comes in, we think doing this is really damaging to do because not only is the customer unlikely to not buy from you again, but you might actually ruin lamb for them altogether. Now, worms in particular are a sheep farmer's biggest enemy. And a major reason for poor performance is the failure to effectively control them in a timely fashion. And this is due to a number of reasons, including not dosing when they need to be dosed and dosing with ineffective wormers that the parasites are resistant to. But a major reason is because of a worm burden that actually goes unnoticed by the farmer. And this is quite interesting because what we're looking for is the clinical signs of a lamb suffering from a worm burden is if they're scouring. And if you're good, you'll be fecal egg counting. But actually, neither of these are able to spot this unnoticed worm burden. And that's because studies show that a lamb can have their average daily weight gain reduced by 50% without showing any clinical signs. So they can be suffering from a worm burden, and we can get to this stage without actually knowing we have a problem. So they can be flatlining, even losing weight without showing it. So it's really staggering. So what we do to solve this problem is we regularly weigh the lambs, because the best way of effectively controlling worm burdens is monitoring average daily weight gain. It's the absolute supreme. Now, there will be variation in the group. Not all will be performing poorly. So what we do when we're handling our lambs and going about trying to dose them is we set a benchmark, say 200 grams a day. And if a lamb is performing above the benchmark, then we don't treat them because it's not going to do anything for them. And it's not going to cure any problem because there's no problem to solve there. But if the next lamb is performing at, say, 120 grams, we dose that lamb and that cures the problem. So this is selectively dosing our lambs. And this makes sense when you read in the studies that worms are distributed unevenly. So 80% of these worms are actually only in a quarter of the mob. And years of studies actually show when you implement this selective dosing that there's no difference in terms of final weight between going in and worming the whole lot of them and just worming the ones that are performing poorly. So it works. But the thing is, current tools don't make it easy. So the tool we actually use to do all this weighing and dosing is something my brother Jack and I invented called the Cotter crate. This holds the lamb at operator height and has weigh cells built into it. So you can do everything you need to do to the lambs. It provides the growth rate in real time, and therefore with this, you won't get caught out blindsided because you'll see if there's a problem and you can decide whether to dose or not right there and then. And it makes everything easy. At 6 weeks of age, we have to do loads of things to the lambs, as you're seeing. And we have to dose them for nematovirus firstly. We need to vaccinate them. We have to give them some vitamins and minerals, and we need to weigh them. So it's a lot of jobs. But with this, you can see me in the video. I'm doing it all on my own and just getting some help to keep the lambs moving. So it's a really efficient and simple way to do it. and just leave this video play out a little bit longer. Okay, so we're actually launching this product later this year, and if you would like to buy it, you could send it to the email address at the top, thecottercrate@gmail.com, and you'll be the first to know when it's launched. Of course, by dosing only the lambs that actually need treatment, we're preserving the effectiveness of our wormers. By selectively dosing, we're actually reducing our wormer use by about 50%. So this is helping ensure the wormers continue to work, and you should consider this because the penalty for having ineffective wormers is harsh. Your lambs will simply never perform optimally. And it's not that hard to end up with wormers that don't actually work. If you're careless, you can drop to 50% efficacy in just a few years. Now, we still have to watch out for the likes of lameness, fly strike, and ARF, which can also have a serious impact on growth rates. So it's important to stay on top of these things too. So at the other end, we're looking for a 45 to 50 kilo live weight, turning into 19 to 21 kilos dead weight. Now, because we're organic, we can't spread any artificial fertilizer on the land. And because we're 100% grass fed, we can't feed any concentrate. But we really don't want to because it's so damn expensive. You know, dairy farmers talk about the importance of their grass, and that's when concentrate is costing 270 a ton. Well, organic feed is in at about 570 a ton. So it's something you really don't want to be doing, or else you're not going to be at a whole pile. So for us, it's essential that we grow as much grass as possible and we utilize it as best as possible. So we do this by having plenty of clover in the fields, which picks nitrogen from the air, and it gives us an advantage. And then we also grass measure weekly using a grass meter plate meter, which is just essential because no different to the lamb's growth rates, you can't manage what you can't measure, or what you don't measure, sorry. So this is a really useful tool, and it's the only thing we're willing to use because going out there with pen and paper and then, or else having to type in the numbers when you get back to the office is considered a waste of time when with this grasshopper, you can press a button and it's all there right in front of you. So moving on to the production level, and what we do is we actually leverage our local abattoir, Ashgrove Meats, which is 20 minutes down the road, and Ashgrove turns the lamb into a carcass. The cutting is also done at Ashgrove, and we do the packaging with them so we can do it as per what the customer has ordered, and it keeps paperwork to a minimum for us. And also reducing the costs, because in the end of the day, what we're trying to do is sell our lambs at a premium. We're not trying to start a meat factory. Now, we vacuum pack all the pieces individually at Ashgrove. This isn't expensive at all. It makes the product look nice, and it keeps the lamb fresh in the fridge for up to 10 days, which means we can ship the lamb fresh to the customer. We then pack the cuts into cold transport boxes, and we bring them back to the farm. So what we have at the farm in terms of infrastructure is a simple cold storage unit. In it, we've got 2 commercial fridges. We have a commercial freezer for our ice packs and a few desks for packaging and labeling boxes, and we're storing our packaging inside in this unit as well. What we do is we keep the lambs chilled here, and on collection day, we're packing the lambs with ice packs into our delivery box, and then DPD will come later on the day, and then it's delivered the following day anywhere in Ireland, and that's the market that we're selling to. At all stages, we try and differentiate ourselves again. It's so important, so we distinguish ourselves from everyone else. So with the delivery boxes, we saw an opportunity. So we actually use sheep's wool, as you can see in the picture, to insulate the meat and to keep it cold. So sheep's wool is actually more sustainable, and it's biodegradable in comparison to your traditional polystyrene. So customers tend to be quite impressed by this because when they get it, they can use the wool to stuff a pet bed. They can be protecting pipes during winter, and if they're lazy, they can just throw it out to the lawn. It's going to decompost, and it's going to be a fertilizer for their garden. The third and final step is the marketing, and this is who we sell to and how we sell to them. We sell to homeowners, and we keep it very simple, so just 2 products, either a half lamb or a full lamb, priced at 105 and 200 euro. We market the product on social media, mainly Facebook, and then we sell it through our website. Now, we always wanted to do half and half between the homeowner and local hotels and restaurants for 3 reasons. One, we felt this approach de-risked the business because we weren't totally reliant on anyone then to have a successful business, because the other party has a huge amount of leverage when they know you're entirely reliant on them. Equally, like us, you could get a pandemic and get caught offside, which is kind of what happened in relation to restaurants closing this year. So it's a really good rule of thumb not to put all your eggs in one basket. Number 2, I felt that adding in hotels and restaurants would be a great way to move a large quantity of product, so to keep the business simple and it wouldn't create too much work. And then lastly, it would be a great marketing kind of boon to be able to say we're on the menu of X and Y restaurants. Now, in year 1, we supplied 5 local restaurants for 3 weeks as a test to see if it would work, and it worked great. For year 2, as I say, COVID comes along and we can't do it. So we were doing 100% of what we were trying to sell was going to the homeowner. And we struggled with this at the start because we hadn't gotten our name sufficiently out there. But one morning last October, I was listening to the radio, and this was around the time of the Shop Local movement. And RTE were actually looking for Irish businesses to come on to the Late Late Show to give them a boost. So I applied, and the following day I got a phone call asking would we be interested in coming on. So we got 3 minutes on national TV, over 500,000 people watching. The phones was hopping straight away, and we actually sold out of what we had on the farm in 48 hours. So what's the moral of this story? Well, take every opportunity in front of you, because you never know what's going to come out of it. You never know who's going to be watching or what other opportunities might come out of it. So we're just coming off the back of a mighty season, and we're hopeful for an even better 2021, and also really hoping those restaurants are back open. So now I'm going to share some general thoughts on what I think one should know before diversifying their farm. So first thing, you need to be convinced that you have a product. So you need to identify that there's people out there that exist who are willing to put money from their pockets into yours. For us to go ahead with our project, we needed to validate if the public and restaurants felt the same way we did, i.e. that local, organic, 100% grass-fed lamb is better and is worth paying a premium for. So we did a small batch sample of 5 lambs, sent them to the abattoir, got them processed, and then we sent them to family and friends and a few restaurants. And we got their feedback, and it was resoundingly positive. So there, from that bit of testing, we established a clear market need for what we wanted to produce. And this is vital to do because you can have the best product in the world, but unless there's people who are willing to pay for it, you don't have a sustainable business. So there's a bit of intelligence to do it. We didn't do it stupid, and I advise you don't do it stupid. Go and talk to people, do your market research, and learn. So once you're convinced you have a product, you then need to look at what resources are available to you to realize your project and to get help where you need to improve. So engaging with your local leader group or with your local enterprise office is a smart thing to do. Their primary function is to provide grant aid, but when I went to West Limerick Resources, they actually highlighted to me the importance of building your network. Locally, they actually run a food group, and both producers and restaurants are part of it. So it was a prime opportunity to get to know people in the industry. And we were able to ask people already direct selling their produce, how do they do it? What did they think of what we were doing, and any advice? And Irish people, we love to help. So they gave us plenty of guidance and prevented us from making any mistakes, or at least making some of the big ones. Give it 3 years. This is how long it takes to get off the ground. But take your time and get the basics right, because if you don't get the basics right, you won't be able to solve these problems later on, and you're going to make big and expensive mistakes. So go slow to go fast later. We've made loads of mistakes, but fixing problems for a few family and friends who've gotten to test the product is dramatically easier than having to fix problems for 100 angry paying customers. What I'd say as well is don't expect overnight success. Starting a business, which is what diversifying a farm is not easy. And I have to laugh because you never know how much work is involved in these things. And maybe if you did, you'd never do it, but it is worth all the effort, and the learning is on the job. So you just have to get stuck in and do it. Because the sooner you find out if it's a good or a bad idea, the sooner you find the idea that will succeed, the sooner you get to achieve your ambitions and you get to have an impact. So what I'm saying is, if you succeed, great. If you fail, great, because it moves you one step closer to finding the idea that will succeed. So finally, where are we going next? So our overall aim is simple. It's to sell the lambs we produce on the farm at the price that we believe the market is willing to pay for. So I believe every farmer should be entitled to the same. So direct selling is something that should definitely be considered. We're at €200 for a full lamb now, and our goal is to get to 220, and our end goal is to get to 240, because that's the premium we believe the market is willing to pay for this premium product. On scale, we did 220 lambs last year, and we hope to do 300 this coming year. We want to get a bit more productive through better breeding, so get up to maybe 1.8 scanning rate, so we can then sell about 350 lambs under the Cotter Organic Lamb brand every year. And that's it. So brilliant. I've enjoyed speaking to you this morning, and it's great to see so many on the call. So again, do it, and do it on the basis that on most people's deathbeds, their regrets are not what they did do, but what they didn't do. So I'll be putting together answers to your questions, and I'm looking forward to hearing from John and Kate as well. So it's been a lot of fun, and I look forward to doing this in the future again.
Great, Nate. Thanks. I mean, that was a great overview of, I suppose, all of your enterprises, but particularly the Cotter lamb. So brilliant, thanks for that. I can see already there's questions coming in there for you, Nick. So what we'll do is I'll just move on to Kate next. So Kate, if you can ask you to unmute. Hi, Kate, can you hear? Yeah, perfect. So Kate, I'll go on to you next. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen for you because I know your broadband is quite low. So just so that we'll have your presentation. So I'll just share this now for you. Okay, so that should be good. So Kate, yeah, you're a farmer in North Kerry and you're, I suppose, the producer of Beal Organic Cheese, which is an award-winning pasteurized cheese. Also, I think in an effort to further, I suppose, utilize the lands that you farm, you've looked at other, I suppose, sustainable and value-added ventures like hemp farming. And again, you were instrumental as well, Kate, as you said, in setting up the Irish Hemp Cooperative. And again, that was recently actually nominated for the 5th edition of the European Award for Cooperative Innovation. So you're welcome, Kate.
Thank you very much, and welcome to everyone. And I must say, Nick's presentation there was very good. It covered a lot of the things that I would have covered. So I'm going to take this from a different angle. Now, as everyone may know, I run an organic cheese business. And if you go to the next slide, this is my story. I married into this farm in 1984. And when I got married, my mother gave me a cheese press and declared that every dairy farmer should make some cheese. So off I went. And over the years, I developed different products, which, like Nick's story, I tried and tested in many different ways, and competitions are always very good. And then I decided, when I took over the farm in 1997, to go organic, because even though I'm a biochemist and I come from a very chemical background, I don't think they belong in such large amounts in our community, our environment, and in our food. So this is my reasoning for going organic. And I think consumers are now gaining the knowledge about what's in the food. So I think it's a good way to go. If you go to the next slide. So, as you know, farming is in free fall in rural Ireland. If you look at areas like Kerry and Limerick, where we play with very difficult soils, we have very high rainfalls. Farmers are not making money from conventional agriculture, dairy production. Milk prices are what they were 30 years ago. I'm showing my age now, but beef prices haven't been great either. So farmers can't make a living. So diversification is the best way to go. So you see here the history of how I diversified. And after my husband died, I decided to grow the business, because even though I had 70 cows, I was employing people and I wasn't making a big enough income to educate my 4 daughters. So I said I had to look for a value-added product, because all my organic milk was going into Kerry in the summer. And, you know, that was the lowest of lowest prices. So if you make a pound of cheese, it's much more productive than selling a litre of milk. And it takes 11 litres of milk to make a kilo of cheese, if we go metric. So I could increase my margins. Not only do I make pasteurized cheese, I make raw milk cheese. And as some people might know, in 2010, I went on Dragon's Den, which was a bit of a dare by a friend of mine, but it turned out very well, because if you're producing a product from your farm, you have to have a story. This is what people engage with. They love a story. So, you know, I tell a story about my farm, my animals, and it sells my product. And that's what I would recommend. And Nick said the same. So If you go to the next slide, along with the cheese making, I have a sideline in pigs. I don't know why people don't keep pigs. They're the best animal to have on a dairy farm. They're great fun to have around the farm because they graze with my cows and they all get on very well. They even end up in the milking parlour sometimes. And they don't affect milk yields. My cows averaged over 1,440 gallons last year. And that included 25% of the herd being heifers. So there's nothing wrong with that. But like Nick said, organic feed is very expensive. They did that average with less than 350 kgs of organic dairy ration. So that is quite impressive. So next slide. In 2011, I actually prolapsed a disc in my neck. So I had to scale back my life. And this is what you'll meet in life. You have to keep changing your direction. If something goes wrong, you'll fall down, you pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, and you look for something new. And in 2013 to 16, I was involved in a European project with my cheese, and I came across hemp. And hemp to me is a very easy option for farmers to diversify because, 2 weeks ago there was a webinar about hemp, and they talked about CBD, which is one of the bioactives in the leaf and flower, and they talked about the stalk for building materials and biocomposites. But the seed is very important because it's a food as well. So if you go into the next slide. So this is what hemp is. It grows in 120 days, so it makes it very accessible for everyone to put into a rotational system. You have the many bioactives. You've heard of CBD. My favorite one is CBG, which is known as the mother of all the cannabis oils. And, there's great scope. And we hear a lot in agriculture, farmer bashing about carbon dioxide emissions. So my answer to that is integrating hemp into farming systems so that they can actually produce all these products, and you can see them there. And you'll see the hemp seed, it has 30% protein. It has, it's high in oil. There's so much you can do about it. I could take all day explaining all those products, but you have them there on the PowerPoint. It's quite interesting that in Holland, they actually take the leaf and flower off and put it into grass silage for cattle. And they have found that they've increased milk yields by 1,000 litres per lactation per cow. So that's at 5% incorporation rate because the leaf and flower has high omega oils. So I often talk about hemp and flax together because there is a history of them in our peatlands in Ireland, especially here in Kerry and Limerick. West Limerick has a huge tradition of flax. So, it also has many other uses. This is the carbon dioxide sequestering potential. So you could imagine saying, you could keep less cows and have hemp. And if you were paid for your carbon credits, it would give a great message to the consumer. Look, we're producing all this methane from our cows and our animals, but we're also offsetting it by growing hemp to lock up that carbon in other ways. And that's a very simple message. And as I said before, hemp is an easier option for farmers who don't want to go through that whole process that Nick described of that marketing. Marketing is hard. If you're producing a food product for the supermarket shelves, from my experience, they are ruthless. In fact, one year they got rid of me off the shelves, my product, because they told me I had to comply with what they wanted. And, there's a kind of autocratic way of dealing with the suppliers by our supermarkets. So direct selling is very good. This is just a slide now about the hemp co-op. We have over 200 members, so we're doing very well. We have a lot of interest in the food aspects of hemp. Of course, we have the CBD, which again comes under the Food Safety Authority of Ireland. And, we're looking at its whole role in the bioeconomy. And, another thing I like about it is that I use it for bedding for my cattle. Here in North Kerry, straw is very expensive. I was quoted €40 a bale recently. But I use, the hemp as bedding for my dry stock with a bit of straw, and then it becomes the most efficient composting mulch for horticulture. I actually give it away to horticultural farmers, organic ones, because they swear by it for tomatoes and cucumbers and other things they're growing in their tunnels. So at the bottom here, well, there was a bit about me, that's my background. I believe that, we have to change the world ourselves. It's not going to come from the top, so we have to do it from the bottom. So in the hemp co-op, we're setting up hubs so that we can help all our members to set the crop and harvest the crop. And then they can choose the appropriate varieties for their land and what type of products they want to produce. So as I said, there's the fibre, the shear, the seed, the leaf and the flower. And my ambition for the cooperative is that we get a mobile biorefinery. So if you go to the next slide, this is my favourite quote from Brendan Kennelly. If we don't diversify, we're not going to survive. We can't keep doing what was always done. The big farmer will always, he'll have the economies of scale to survive at low prices. We don't. We have to change. And to me, change is very empowering. And there's lots of help out there from Teagasc and, the development bodies, leader groups. So go for it. It's great fun.
Well done, Kate. Yeah, geez, that's a brilliant presentation. You've gone through lots there about how you've diversified down through the years. So well done, brilliant. Yeah, again, and there's lots of questions coming for Kate as well. So what we'll do is we'll quickly go to John. How are you, John?
Morning, Padraig. How are you?
Good. So John, if you want to share your screen there, and we'll get you to give a presentation. And after you, then, John, what we'll do is we'll start going through the questions. So John, you're a development officer with Ballyhoura CLG. So Ballyhoura, it's a development company, I suppose, that's community-led and which works with communities, families, individuals and businesses in the Ballyhoura region of East Limerick and North Cork. I suppose the company has successfully managed and coordinated a wide range of national and European projects and programs since its implementation back in 1989. It currently delivers over 30 programs and funding streams to people and businesses in the region who are looking to diversify. So John, I'll pass it over to you.
Great. Good morning, everybody, and you're all very welcome to this morning's session. I think Padraig, Nick and Kate have made my job extremely easy or difficult because I was going to say lots of stuff and now I have much less to say. So well done and some excellent presentations gone before me. I'd just like to say, taking off my Ballyhoura hat, I'm a farmer myself here in East Limerick on the side of the Slieve Fields in the Capmore Maru area. And I grew up on a farm where we always had to diversify. My dad and my mother used to keep poultry. She used to do geese and turkeys and eggs. My dad used to grow vegetables as well as we had a dairy herd also. So, and I ploughed that for myself over the years. I've done allotments on the farm and I do free range pigs. So I've been there, and I suppose the help is fantastic. Nick covered it there when he spoke about West Limerick Resources, about getting that piece of guide. I think sometimes people can come to an organisation like Teagasc or Ballyhoura looking for money, and they think they're going to get a big cheque or a bag of cash going out the door. And I think sometimes that advice and mentoring can be far more beneficial. I sometimes compare it to actually maybe donating money to the third world for to feed the hungry, or you could teach somebody for to grow food and they will have food ever after. And mentoring is like that, and advice is like that, and networking is so important. So just for the benefit, I know we're covering a large area in geography. Ballyhoura Development is the equivalent of North Kerry um, Development, South Kerry Development Company, and West Limerick Resources. So we're a local development company. So our mission, just some of the areas that we work in the area of community development, economic development, and in environmental sustainability. And we deliver a number of programs, and Padraig has outlined all of those there. So we work right across community, and my role in that, I suppose I wear three hats. I wear the community side, so engaging with communities, community groups, not-for-profits. I also deliver and organise a great deal of training, and both in community, social enterprise, and for enterprises and startups. And then there is the enterprise piece, supporting individuals in grant aid, mentoring, referring them to the relevant supports. So our key support that we offer is we sit down, we listen to the individual, we listen to the group, and we listen to their needs, and we try and direct them as best towards the relevant suite of supports. One of the supports we're offering to the farming community across the last number of years, some of you might have come across it, is the Digital Skills Programme. So as we know now in agriculture, we're being forced more and more online. So as farmers, we know there towards the end of September, we're checking into the old online portal to see did we get a single farm payment every couple of days. And we can either submit our applications or check in on applications, and we can move livestock and create movement certificates and all those online. So this program helps individuals get them online. It's called, I suppose one of the catchphrases that's often used, it's for non-liners. So getting you from knowing nothing about your smartphone or your tablet to getting you online, banking online, checking your health details and paying your motor tax and all of those. And there are some contact details there. I'm sure Padraig will be sending out these slides later. Then we have the another program is an employment scheme also that might suit some farming enterprises, and it's an employment scheme that gives 19.5 hours employment to an individual, and some of the criteria are there, some of the qualifying criteria there. And again, my two colleagues, Rhiannon and Eugene, can direct you towards those. So the enterprise and training, I suppose, my own area that I engage with, we deliver start your own business sessions. Last year, obviously, COVID changed everything. We've gone online, and just like this morning, I think it's fantastic. 125 participants tuned in all over the place, sitting on their tractors, sitting on their kitchen tables, sitting in their cars, wherever. They're watching this and they're engaging, and it's fantastic. And we've gone online with a great deal of our training, and we've had the same level of interest in those. And just some of the topics that we cover there, there's a Start Your Own Business program, which I deliver, 3 sessions. I delivered in the evening time to suit people's schedules. Then we deliver a series of training, in a specific training like the tax and self-assessment, business presentations, time management, which is hugely important in the current environment, where particularly if you're a part-time farmer and you've the day job and you've the farm, and maybe you're looking at a bit of diversification as well, how you balance your actual time. There's pricing for profitability. It's so important. Nick gives a great example there. His range is very specific and it's very simple. I think it's fantastic. There's no arguing. You know, as farmers, we know when we go selling something, leaning over the gate and you're trying to haggle. Will you take this for it? Will you take that for it? Nick has his pricing structure there set, and it's really simple, and there's no arguing. Building a sustainable business. Now, what we mean by this is for individuals or enterprises that are established a few years, and it's almost like a start your own business for an existing business. So it's checking in, it's a health check. Some of the things that you learned at startup stage, checking in to see you still doing them, or could you be doing more. Sales, marketing and branding, and social media, of course, so important. All the platforms, understanding those. So what I'm mainly going to speak about this morning is LEADER. So LEADER is a European grant aid that comes out of the CAP budget. And I suppose we're in a strange space with LEADER at the moment, because as you can see there from my heading, it's 2014 to 2020. So the most recent LEADER program has ended in December, and Ballyhoura were, off the top of my head, I think we were the first in the country to spend our allocation of budget. So we were waiting there in November, December time to see would this long-awaited interim program come into being, and it has. There is an interim program which I will speak about in a minute. But the key pieces about LEADER are it covers the areas of, for what we're speaking about here today, rural tourism, enterprise development. So that's for individuals or small businesses that are looking for supports. It's for farm diversification, those elements of it. Somebody that's looking for support at startup or expansion stage. And it ranges across capital investment, training and development, and also the actual analysis and development, which is research. And then obviously for community groups, you might be familiar with some of your local areas. The local parish hall may have been upgraded, and you may see a whole load of logos on a sign outside the door that explains it's been supported by LEADER. So we cover basic services, rural youth, rural towns, protecting water resources, all of those. So the interim program, it's to fill that gap between the present past CAP program and the upcoming CAP program, which has been delayed as a result of Brexit and COVID and all those other matters. So it is for 2021 only. And to be more specific, it runs from the 1st of April to the 31st of December. And within LEADER, there is a food element of LEADER. So just to briefly explain, every single local development company across the country at the start of the LEADER programs get an allocation, and that's based on their population basis and all kinds of other statistics around that. And so they get a budget per area. But in the LEADER food piece, it's to explain it simply, it's national pot. So if you're in the Ballyhoura area or the West Limerick area or North Kerry area, everybody's applying for funding out of the one national pot. And the previous food program wasn't all spent, and there has been extra money added to that also. So there is money there in LEADER food for food related products. So these are just some of what we call the funding calls. There's economic development, enterprise job creation, social inclusion, rural food, and then there's the food. So who can benefit? Individuals or rural businesses, farm families, community groups, and voluntary organizations. So here's a piece about the LEADER food. So we're looking at market development, competitive, and innovation. So I like to inform by examples. So one of the examples I often use, when I joined the organization about 10 years ago, I was involved with a business down in Mitchelstown. They were a beer company called 8 Degrees. And at that stage, there was very few craft brewers in the country at the time. And 8 Degrees were able to avail of LEADER funding through Ballyhoura, and they used the three elements of LEADER. So they were able to get support around capital. So that was the fit out of a building, purchase of equipment. They were able to get support around research. So that was developing a fairly sustainable business plan. And what's rarely used actually is training and development. So because there was so few artisan breweries in the country. A great deal of that training is done overseas, so they were able to get support for training and development by attending a training session in Germany at
John,
the time.
I'll just have to cut across it there now because we're really pushed for time.
Great.
So do you mind
Yeah.
if we just go to the questions, because there's loads of questions after coming in, and I just want to get a flavour of the questions for everyone.
Okay.
So I just come back to Nick. I'll just put a question out there to you, Nick. Question is, if I sell my lamb for €120 to a meat factory, for example, how much more value will you add by slaughtering the lamb yourself?
Yeah, okay. Great question, first of all. What we do is we start off with a cost base of €95, and that's because that was kind of closer to the price of lamb when we started the business. I know lamb prices are quite high at the moment, but at the time for us, it was about a 19-kilo carcass was worth €95. So the cost to slaughter the lamb, €25, and then the cost of our materials and for labour to pack the lamb and to go out, pack the boxes and dispatch it is another €25. So we're looking at a cost base of €145, and then we're adding value on top of that. So at the moment, we're at €200. So the value is...
Oh, we're after losing Nick, I think. Sorry there. Kate, are you there?
I am.
Hi, Kate. Just a question there for you. Again, lots of people are saying well done in the presentation. But can we? Is it possible to get an email for the Hemp Co-op Society mentioned?
Well, we have a website, and I
Okay.
think that's where people should go. Go to the website, read the information, and the email is on there as well.
Okay, perfect.
So it's info@hempcooperativeIreland.com, I think.
Okay. John, there was just a question there coming into you. Sorry, just coming to it now. So question.
Is that about the business plan, Padraig?
Yeah. So if I have a business idea, where can I get a business plan generated?
Yeah, so if you're in our area, in the Ballyhoura area, contact me, contact your local development company. So we have a panel of mentors, business mentors, and they have specific topics that they cover. So we'll call it as a general mentor that will cover putting together a business plan, fleshing out your business idea, with mentors there around marketing, mentors around finances, and those. And if we can find a suitable mentor for you, we can refer you to the local enterprise office, and they can provide further mentoring and development of your business plan also. I have nice templates for business plans that I like to share. I always say a business plan can be 6 pages to 6,000 pages. There's thousands of templates on the internet. But the key thing to think of always is your product or service is going to solve a problem. How is it going to solve that problem? So that's the key question when you start your business, if you can answer that.
Okay. A question there coming for you, Kate. How do you monitor customer satisfaction or needs?
In terms of my cheese, a lot of it's word of mouth.
Okay.
Even though I haven't sold any cheese the last few years because of health problems, I still have people emailing me on a weekly basis, wondering why they can't get it.
Okay.
For me, that is the ultimate customer satisfaction.
Okay.
Hello?
Hi, Nick. You're back again.
I dropped out with internet, I'm so sorry.
Just a question for you there, Nick. Does Borbia support you in promoting native Irish lamb in Ireland?
Yes, so Borbia would primarily come in at a national level, overall promoting lamb as a good source of high quality protein. So overall, they're trying to encourage consumers to eat it. Our Organic Trust body would be doing the same as well. So they're very helpful.
Okay. Another question for you, Nick, then. How much is it to slaughter and butcher your costs per animal?
Yeah, so that's into the question I got broken up on. So starting off at that cost base of €95, with €25 to slaughter the lamb, and then €25 for our materials and for the labour to package the lamb and to get it dispatched. So working off a cost base of €145, we sell at 200. So at the moment, we've got a profit of about €55. We want to get to 240 at the end, so that'd be making €95 profit. So essentially, we're moving from the figure we were previously producing to double it by having this enterprise.
Okay.
And
Kate's question there, what authorities or I suppose regulations have you to deal with in terms of selling food directly to the public?
Well, you have the Food Safety Authority that I mentioned.
Okay.
And I have the Department of Agriculture because I make cheese. You know, there's a dairy products inspector. And The HSE occasionally look in, but they don't really bother the dairy sector. It's under, it's like everything we do in this country, it's siloed into different areas. But the Food Safety Authority are the people to get the good advice from. They have an excellent website.
Okay, very good. John, question there. Someone's asking a question, are there any software or digital tools you recommend for a food business?
I'd imagine Kate or Nick may be more familiar with this, but
okay.
Again, some of the specific food mentors that we could provide those.
Provide information, okay. Nick, would you know of any?
Yeah, I mean, the one that we use for our website is called Wix.com. That's W-I-X. It's just a drop and drag platform. So for anybody who's not per se familiar with doing websites or anything, it's literally just come up with images, come up with text and drop them in. It's very simple. And then for our social media posts, we've got something called Canva. That's C-A-N-V-A. Again, that provides all these templates. You're just dropping images and dropping text on top of them. So it makes it really easy to come up with all that content for your Facebook and for the website.
Okay, excellent. Question for you there, John. Someone's asking, what areas do you see, what areas do you see leader funding in the future?
I suppose I see this morning session would be a good example. Food producers doing more with their food, like Kate and Nick, certainly. And I don't think that there's a lot being done in the area of dairy in selling milk direct, milk vending, those kind of things. Quite surprising, probably because milk is good at the moment. The other piece I would see in the short term, within the next 2 years, it's COVID related. It's holding at home, diversification in glamping and rural retreats, those kind of things, because thanks to Michael O'Leary's outburst on the radio yesterday morning, we won't be flying anywhere this year. And some people will be cautious about flying maybe up to 2 years from now. So I don't know about I'd just love to get to Tipperary at the moment, let alone Tenerife. So I think we'll all be looking. So there's some beautiful places, hidden gems. I think the Ballyhoura is a good example of what we've been able to do with tourism across the area the last number of years. So tourism and food diversification, I think.
Okay, Nick, there's a technical question there. What was the problem with male lambs? Is there a difference in the taste, and does castration change that?
Yes, so difference in the taste, difference in the smell. It's caused because when the lambs become mature, when they're uncastrated and you allow ram lambs, essentially when they start becoming sexually active, those hormones come into the meat and then it affects the taste. And I mean, you can tell from a million miles away the smell, and then even when you taste, there's a significant difference. So it makes as I say, some people we've talked to genuinely did not like lamb because the only experience they had of eating lamb was a ram lamb. So it makes a huge difference, and it's something that we never sell a ram lamb. It's always wether lambs, annual lambs.
And they turn them off lamb forever. A question I suppose there for both Nick and Kate, if you want to answer, Kate, how do you manage labour on the farm, and do you employ outside of the family? So Kate.
I used to, because I had 70 cows, an off-farm job and the cheese company. But now I do most work myself, except for the tractor driving.
Okay.
So I milk myself and make cheese myself and do 1 million hours of voluntary work a week.
Okay. And Nick?
On our side, we get help actually from both my mother and my sister have come in the office. After we kind of got to a good size with the firewood business, we needed more help because taking that many phone calls after school was too much work. So they fell in on the firewood side, and then when we did the organic side, they also answered the phones for that. Outside of that, we have 2 part-time employees on the firewood, and then around lambing time, my uncle has 4 kids and they fall in to give a hand with lambing.
Okay, perfect. Just another, I suppose, technical question there, Nick. How can you sell lamb as organic when they've been dosed and maybe some of that has been ending up on the land with feces? So I suppose more a question on the organic licensing, maybe, is it?
Yeah, I suppose I'll take it from looking at anthelmintics in particular, which is what I was covering in my slides. I suppose the concern would be that some particularly persistent anthelmintics, they would be your 3 ml class, so your macrocyclic lactone class of anthelmintics. Those do a lot of damage because they persist in the environment when the animal takes them in and then pass them out the other side. They kill a lot of dung beetles, and then if birds are eating the dung beetles, you kind of get the idea. It's damaging for biodiversity. So the approach we have is a general holistic approach that organic farmers have, which is that to use as much as necessary but as little as possible. So in particular, with those 3 ml class warmers, so ones with the likes of moxidectin and ivermectin in them, we don't use them at all because we don't have to use them. There is 4 of the class of anthelmintics. So it's just that approach. It's just trying to minimize what we use and only use what's necessary. And that's the point I was making with the warmers. We try not to dose all the flock as much as possible. We only dose the ones that actually need the treatment and where it's going to help.
Okay, very good.
And can I answer that as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, you know, as Nick said, the ivermectins aren't allowed in the organic system, so you tend to use the white doses, as they're called. But there's also a lot of natural plants out there, which is why we use multi-species grasswards.
Okay.
I do. And it's very effective. And garlic, of course.
Okay.
So, you know, there are alternatives.
I suppose there's a question there as well. Just see it there now. How do you get your product registered? So if someone comes up with an idea, did you have to register your products, Nick, or Kate, or?
Yeah, so the process that we went through is we need to first go to the Organic Trust because we need to get our abattoir to be certified as an organic specific abattoir. As an organic producer, what's very important is in a meat factory, you're separating the organic produce from the non-organic produce. Okay. So that had to be done. And then we had to register with the HSE as well, which is registering as a food business. Not an overly complicated product. As I say, the business is simple because at the farm, we're not actually handling any raw meat. The raw meat is being handled in Ashgrove and they already have the prerequisite program and all the certification to do that. So it keeps things simple because I don't want to be overcomplicating this.
Okay, and Kate, do you want to add anything to that question about registering a product, or?
Well, I do the same. As I said, I have, you know, the dairy products registered as well, but also with my pork products, they go to Crows and Dundrum. Okay. And again, they come back vacuum packed. So, you know, it's all traceable.
Perfect. John, just a question again, it's about the business plan. Should someone go and draft their own business plan or should they get an expert for help?
Yeah, it's a combination of both, I suppose. If you want to email me, I can give you a nice template for start drafting a business plan, and obviously run it by an expert in the mentor then. But they will, any expert you go to will ask you for the right your element because only you can tell your story, but the expert can help you fine tune it.
Okay. Just another question there. It says, Nick, do you have any mutton customers? As our population becomes more diverse, is there decent markets for it yet?
I don't know. We've done a small amount of hoggets and mutton, literally a handful from people who've asked locally. Is it something that we'll look at doing down the road? That depends, because the more complicated you make a business, the more work it's going to involve. And I suppose I'm only 20 years of age. I'm still in college. I'd like to do I'd run my own sheep herd when I eventually get a green cert. And we have a fibre business and organic lamb business. We're trying to launch this crate, and I'm sure there'll be new opportunities. So I suppose it's important not to get too caught up in making everything a big scale and being able to cater to everyone. It's everything to have a nice size and to be the appropriate size, the right size. So it's, or I think we'll have a look at it, but it just depends. We'll see if the opportunity fits, we'll do it.
Okay. And John, if someone this morning has an idea and they want to go and get advice, where do they start? Who's the first port to call to go to?
I would say pick up their phone to their local development company, look for the person that's dealing with startup businesses and that, and just we can set up a Zoom call or talk on the phone. And training is so important, training and mentoring. We can't do everything and we don't know everything. And I think that's used. Take Nick's example there of again of organising with the local abattoir to do that. We can't be experts at everything. We can only be experts on what we can do, and lean on those experts that are experts in those areas. I think is really important. But sign up for if you see a start your own business program or specific topics of the knowledge is power.
Okay, and I know we're running up against time now, but just one question's coming there, and I just want to ask it to both Nick and Kate. What are your plans for the future? You're both obviously entrepreneurs, and what's your next idea that's there in your head? So, Kate?
Mine is probably a bit scandalous. I'm going to become a full-time social activist because I'm a great believer that you have to create change yourself. We can't carry on the way we're going.
Okay, very good. And Nick?
On the organic lamb, we're scaling, as I say, to ideally about 350 lambs. That's the max amount of productivity we can really get out of the sites, the farm we have, and I can't see us getting any new land around us anytime soon.
Okay.
The crate is our primary goal at the moment, because it's something like both the firewood and the organic lamb are restricted in terms of you can't scale them globally. You can't be exporting firewood over to America cost effectively, nor organic lamb really, and you want to minimize those food miles. So the crate is something that we're probably focused on for the next 10 years, hopefully, provided the launch goes well later this year. So there'll be opportunities to create more solutions that will make sheep farmers more efficient and more profitable. And we're also looking at software. That is one thing we notice about software at the moment with sheep farming, is it can be a bit archaic, and you nearly have to have a degree in computer engineering to use some of the stuff. So we're working on software that actually the average lads can look at the thing and be like, okay, this is nice and easy to use, and I don't need, as I say, I don't have to have a huge amount of training to be able to use it. So they're the opportunities, but we don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm still quite young, and I'm amazed at how many opportunity has come our way. So it will keep an eye on what's going on, and see what's on trend, and we'll follow those trends.
Brilliant. So look, as I said, unfortunately, we've just run out of time. So just to finish up, I just want to thank all of today's panelists. So Kate and Nick and John, thanks a million for joining us today. For giving us your experience and time to with us. And thanks to everyone out there as well for joining in today, and for all of the questions, and for everyone for tuning in such large numbers. Next Tuesday again, we'll be looking forward to my colleague Martina Enright from the Clare Galway region, and she'll be looking at farm diversification options from that region. So with that, it's goodbye from everyone here in Kerry Limerick, and stay safe. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.